Loud and clear.
Okay.
Loud and clear. Yep.
Oh, and happy Father's Day, man. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Same to you. Same to everybody else out there.
Right, happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there. Brother Kelly Wells said, you had me spark a few convos today on the RBG colors for Juneteenth. I think that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with the tweet that I made.
Mm-hmm. I just saw it, man. I didn't even, because I've been kind of moving around, so I just, literally just read the tweet and some of the pushback that you were getting from the RBG heads.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's bound to happen, and that's what I'll do. I'll start with that tweet that I did. It went a little viral. I don't think viral got like a certain number before it could go viral. But this, it got some good numbers on it. It got some good numbers on it. That means people
Hmm.
are taking note, you know, for the good of it or whatever. They're taking note. And I said, get it right, fam. The colors of Juneteenth is red, white, and blue, not red, black, and green. I should have said are red, white, and blue, not red, black, and green. Sometimes you
Hmm.
type stuff up and you realize the grammatical errors after the fact. But I think is can suffice in this case. But and the comments went crazy.
Yeah,
The
yeah. I'm
comment,
rocking the red, black, and green for life. For life. Yeah,
oh yeah,
heard me.
you know, and a shout out to this brother right here. Looked like he was on a little boat flying a Freedmen flag, and then somebody said, "This is the real color." All right,
Yeah, I saw that. That was funny.
this Afrocentric dude right here, just me, said, "Hey yo, done. Word is born. You're not from Texas, B." He tried to make it seem, and we're gonna
Tries to
get to
talk
that.
like he from New York or something.
Yeah, he tried to, trying to be facetious. Try
He
to,
said something to me too. Like
yeah, I
he's like,
seen
hey,
it.
ain't you from New York too? Like what? So what? What does that have to do with the historical facts, man? You know what I mean?
I seen it. Like Juneteenth. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna get to the Juneteenth flag. That's the only flag that I recognize for Juneteenth, right there. No other. No other. I want to make that clear from the outset. So let's start with CNN. CNN actually got it right. I was shocked. And I said, you know what? Because Vice did a good article, but CNN got it right. And so I want to start with CNN. And I have my reason for this that I'll come back to in the very near future. So let me stop sharing this. Make sure y'all hit that like button, fam. All right. So CNN, they got it right. The Juneteenth flag is full of symbols. Here's what they mean. So one of the knocks, Brother Ali, is that this flag was produced in 1997.
Hmm.
So it doesn't, it's not an ancient flag. And
Right.
basically, the red, black, and green flag, it predates this flag. So we
Hmm.
should be flying that flag. And at the bare minimum, flying both of them. Before I read this, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, ultimately, right? People are gonna do what they're gonna do, but we're gonna push to try to have the proper colors represented. My comment to someone on to the one that was talking about ain't you from New York, my comment to him was him or her, whoever that is, was simple. The Juneteenth flag that was created by an American freedman in 1990, what, 7,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
has the same, it bears the same colors as the actual national flag of the American freedmen. So when we're what we're ultimately talking about is not so much the flag as is we're talking about the colors within the flag that people are having problems with. So they keep talking about RBG, RBG, and we're saying red, white, and blue, right? So we're really arguing color scheme more so than the flag itself. But it's the flags, yes, but the colors in the flag and what they feel like those colors represent. And so, uh, as far as my position on it is the national colors, the colors of our nation is red, white, and blue. And the fact of the matter is, those freedmen, the Texas freedmen, the American freedmen at large, are American citizens. They were American citizens, and we are American citizens. And so, the colors that truthfully that represent our nationality as Americans is red, white, and blue. No matter how you try to Pan Africanize, no matter how Afrocentric you are in your heart, that's fine. But the colors that represent our nationality is red, white, and blue. It is what it is. Until you people expatriate, that's what it's going to be.
That's right. That's right. Shout out to the fam that's in the that just came into the chat. Sister Sherry Thomas, Jake and Michael Moon. Okay, let's run through this CNN article real quick because they got it right. Okay. Let's blow it up a little bit. Can it go? Yeah. You might see another red, white, and blue flag flying this weekend over state capitals and city buildings. That banner with the bursting star in the middle is the Juneteenth flag, a symbolic representation of the end of slavery in the United States. Now, we know that the story is deeper than that, but it has, as a symbol, come to represent the end of slavery in the United States. We know that Granger rode into Galveston, Texas, 2 years after uh, slavery was abolished, and our people celebrated because they finally got the news that these Europeans, these crackers, they were still trying to get free labor. They didn't tell them that there was no more slavery. Basically, our people dropped everything that they were doing and went free. The next year, there was a grand old celebration in Texas. And in later years, we started to see these celebrations take place all over the United States of America. And the occasion was marked with us dressing our best. It was like Easter Sunday for especially for the early Texas freedmen. That day you got fly, you got spiffy with it that day. So it says the flag is the brainchild of activist Ben Haith, founder of the National Juneteenth Celebration Foundation. Haith created the flag in 1997 with the help of collaborators, and Boston-based illustrator Lisa Jean Graff brought their vision to life. The same Pan African dude was trying to make it seem like these white people helped them. These white people.
Right.
So, if you give it to like an illustrator to bring it to life, that means, she's like responsible for the creation of it.
Yeah.
It is what it is, right?
People move the goalposts
Of course.
and all that. Yeah.
And it's a part of the logical fallacies embedded in the human psyche. You can't help it. You can't get around it. The only thing that those of us who can spot it is just point it out and hope that the people stop doing it, unless they're narcissistic and suffer from a little bit of sociopathic disorder. But anyway, the flag was revised in 2000 into the version we know today, according to the National Juneteenth Observation Foundation. 7 years later, the date June 19, 1865 was added, commemorating the day that Union Army Army Major General Gordon Granger rode into Galveston, Texas, and told enslaved African Americans of their emancipation. For 2 decades now, communities around the country have held flag-raising ceremonies on Juneteenth in celebration of their freedom. This country has so many aspects to it that are spiritual, and I believe this flag is of that nature, Haith said. The idea for the design just came through me. So we see who thought of the design, this Freedman brother.
That's right.
Designing the flag and its symbols was a deliberate process, Haith said. Here's what each element of the flag represents. Let me check to see if any of the bros is okay. Nobody else is on.
he about to break it down.
About to break it down, right? The star. The white star in the center of the flag has a dual meaning, Haith said. For one, it represents Texas, the Lone Star State. It was in Galveston in 1865. I just went through that part. But the star also goes beyond Texas, representing the freedom of African Americans in all 50 states. And this is something that I'm going to speak to in a little while. I'm going to pull up an article from the Washington Post. And one of our sisters, who was just made a moderator on this channel, Sister Morgan, is cited in that Washington Post article. But I'll get to that. The burst, 12-pointed star. These are shapes when you're into like conscious stuff that you're familiar with, right? I forget if it's icosahedron or dodecahedron. I can't remember at the moment, but you come across these shapes when you're into all types of spiritual teachings and Fibonacci sequences, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Sacred geometry. The bursting outline around the star is inspired by a nova, a term that astronomers use to mean a new star. On the Juneteenth flag, this represents a new beginning for the African Americans of Galveston and throughout the land. We're going to start getting this language change. It's going to strictly say for the freedmen of Galveston and throughout the land. The arc, the curve that extends across the width of the flag, represents a new horizon, the opportunities and promise that lay ahead for Black Americans. The colors, the red, white, and blue, represents the American flag, a reminder that slaves and their descendants were and are Americans. To
Pause it.
all you panties out there.
Now, what did I just say before you even started reading it? What did I say?
That's right. This is what this red, white, and blue represents. And it says, and while African Americans today are still fighting for equality and justice, Haith said those colors symbolize the continuous commitment of people in the United States to do better and to live up to the American ideal of liberty and justice for all. I'll
That's
put that.
powerful.
That's right.
That's powerful because he's alluding to those principles in the founding Declaration of Independence. And he's trying to say that America has to live up to its cornerstone document. You have to live up to the principles embedded in that cornerstone document because that is what this thing was supposedly founded on.
That's
Supposedly.
right.
And so it's our job, like Brother Grimm said, it's our the freedmen. The freedmen had to enforce the Constitution. You understand? That's what Abraham Lincoln said. If it wasn't for the black freedmen, the Union would have lost that war. The freedmen, it's up to us to enforce the Constitution. It's up to us to do that kind of work. That's our job. Let me shut up, man. Go ahead, bro.
No, it's cool, man. I mean, one of the things that I noticed today was that the White House actually got it right. I'm going to pull up the White House tweet and then we're going to go to Brother Grimm. And, then we're going to get into a little bit of Garvey. And we ain't going to try to stay on too long. But I want to show the origin of, and I hope that was clear, right? The creator of the flag, there we go. The creator of the flag showed why he created that flag. And then we're going to get to Garvey. We're going to get to Garvey. Okay, so we see the White House got it right. This is from the official White House's Twitter page. The Biden-Harris administration observes and celebrates Juneteenth and recommits to our nation's shared work to ensure racial justice, equity, and equality in America. Now, that's why I wanted to go with the CNN article and then pull up this White House tweet because the end of that CNN article spoke volumes, right? The end of that article spoke volumes. And I just want to read the end of that article again before we go to Brother Grimm. And it says, and I'm going to just substitute this word and just put freedmen. And while freedmen today are still fighting for equality and justice, Haith said those colors symbolize the continuous commitment of people in the United States to do better and to live up to the American ideal of liberty and justice for all. See, this White House has been ignoring us for the longest, since they've been in office, we could say, in subsequent White Houses as well, right? Previous White Houses as well. And when the White House says that it recommits to our nation's shared work to ensure racial justice, equity, and equality in America, they're not passing any legislation to do so. Recommit means that you are
Means that they were once committed
They were
previously.
they were previously committed and they stopped being committed. And now all of a sudden they are recommitting. So what does this recommitting or recommission, if that's a word, looks like, right? Yeah, go ahead, brother Grimm, and I'm gonna get into some of this other stuff. I'm gonna pull up that video you shared as well, Grim.
Grim in the building.
Say happy Juneteenth to the Freedmen family first and foremost. And I also want to say happy Father's Day to all the real fathers out there, the true fathers, and all the fathers, man, that's doing their absolute best to raise their families, man. And I just want to give them props and kudos. Men don't get celebrated much these days, I should say. So, we dealing with that. But, I also, I just wanted to say, for the Freedman family, we fighting wars or battles on all levels now. This whole reparations thing, that's just one of the problems and one of the issues that we are facing. So, and I know they got people of different concepts, different ideologies, and different faiths or whatnot, man. But I'm telling y'all, in this world that we fighting in right now, for the things that we are fighting for and the things that we trying to bring forth, I'm gonna just tell everybody, basically, man, put on the whole armor of God that you might be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, because we don't wrestle against the flesh and the blood, but against the principalities and the powers and against the rulers of darkness of this world and against the spiritual wickedness in high places. So, this about a check, but man, this is about more than a check, So, that's all I got to say, brother, man. Just tell everybody, man, to put on the whole arm of God, because, you know, we in for a rough ride, man. And but other than that, and happy Father's Day and happy Juneteenth, bro.
Indeed, indeed, bro. So I want to go to this video. Let me blow this up. Let me blow this up. Let me see. Does this video have sound? I don't think it has sound. But this is a Juneteenth celebration. I'll pull up the year in a minute. This is beautiful. I just love looking at these Juneteenth celebrations because we missed Juneteenth, 1994. 1994. Now, this is before look at that red, white, and blue American flag being waved by those freedmen. Now, the RBG flag in sight. It's not an RBG flag in sight. And I'm going to just announce that I want to launch a campaign so that we could start fundraising and have a Juneteenth weekend next year like none other. I would like to have a parade just like the one we're seeing on the screen down here in Atlanta, Georgia. Down here on Saturday of next year. And then on Sunday of next year, I would like to have our Freedmen Convention with delegates from all over the United States. So, I'm just putting that out there, family, but that been on my mind all day. And, we were supposed to do some things with Juneteenth this year, but, things didn't go as planned. And that happens. That happens, right? We are a fledgling organization. We just getting our wings up under us. Last year, uh, Juneteenth event was a success. It was a success. We were able to bring some of the family together from across the nation, and over the course of those 2 days, really 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, man, we showed out. We really showed out. So shout out to all of the freedmen that came to the event last year, even if y'all not rocking with us this year. That's cool. That's cool. So before I get into Garvey, I want to pull up this article because our sister Morgan is featured in this article. Juneteenth, this is the Washington Post. Juneteenth is growing. Some Texans worry it's losing its meaning. And there's something that I want to speak to in here. Let me see. I'll start from here. They're speaking to a man named Ernest Owens. He says Owens always viewed Juneteenth as one of the few days a year it was okay to be unapologetically black. His family started the day in Galveston, Texas. They've run through all of that. He says it has always been a very black holiday. Owens says that acknowledged the history that school textbooks often skip about the longer wait enslaved Texans had for their freedom. Although many of those traditions have continued, Owens says he has watched the history begin to wear thin as the holiday stretched from its Texas roots across the country. Now, a national holiday, Juneteenth is being lauded by people who didn't know of its existence a few years ago. There was something uniquely different about Southern Black people's experiences, specifically Texans, he said. In the last 2 years, that intimacy has been lost. So I'm going to say this, right, to that. When I started to understand my connection to my ancestry and this freedman status and being a freedman, I no longer looked at myself as a New Yorker. I looked at myself as a freedman. And that way, I looked at myself the same as I would look at my brothers in the South, the middle of the country, and all the way out in California. Because sometimes we come from places that make us look at other people differently, right? If you was from New York, and there were people that would say from the South, oh, you New York people think we slow down here. And that was the sentiment back in the days. That certainly was. Certainly was. But see, when you look at yourself as one body of people, you start to look at not only yourself, but you start to look at your people differently. So even back in those days, if we had looked through the Freedman lens, then we would have been like, yo, we got to go down here. And if we felt people in the South were slower, we got to catch them up to speed. This is just as simple as that. And in many ways, that did happen when consciousness started to stretch beyond the borders of the Northeast and penetrated its way to the South in the early 2000s. We seen it happen. And now, for the most part, a lot of freedmen across this country are all on one accord. So that is my kind of rebuff to that sentiment, that it has to remain this Texas thing. Texas is a largely white, as he said, it always stirs those juxtaposing feelings of, I hate this racist, backward state, and I can't imagine living anywhere other than Texas, right? So when you look at it for what it is, and then you think about what the holiday represents, it represents freedmen and it represents freedom. And that was the case with all of our ancestors who were emancipated by the 13th Amendment. Really before that, by the what is it, Ali? The Emancipation Proclamation. I was about to say the Proclamation of Independence. I was about to mix it up. So let me see. We got Sister Morgan in this article as well. And they're talking about the different conventions. They're talking about Utah Republican Party hosting its first Juneteenth event. That sister that be on PragerU, that let me be easy. That Amala Ekpunobi, I think she's like Nigerian and white, that's always dissing freedmen, that speaks on PragerU. She actually spoke at the event. The article calls out her hypocrisy. I don't know why I'm so tongue-tied tonight. It says, the article says, those who have celebrated Juneteenth for years worry the holiday is being co-opted. some companies have already begun forced to retreat from their Juneteenth related marketing. And we know about the watermelon salad, we know about the ice cream and all of those different things that Walmart and these other companies had to pull back. Let me see. I'm trying to get to our sister. Okay, there we go. Sister Morgan. Morgan Malachi, who works at the Tubman House Center for Reparative Justice in Philadelphia, said she's been disappointed that some organizations are missing important details about the holiday. She objected to the Philadelphia Juneteenth parade and festival, using the Pan African red, green, and black colors to advertise the event rather than the traditional Juneteenth colors. Quote, I have looked a lot into Emancipation Days for about 2 years now, and I've seen historical pictures, she said. Our people, we celebrate it using the American flag. I just played a video from Texas. Malachi says she will attend the parade, but will be handing out her own flyers that encourage Black Americans to remember Juneteenth's purpose. We, quote, she says, we set the tone and how our holidays and how our culture is celebrated, Malachi said. Independence Hall is respected. That's why it's still there. The Liberty Bell is respected. I want Juneteenth and every Emancipation Day in this country to be respected in the same way, she said. And they show pictures of the flyers that our sister Morgan is giving out. And I'm going to put this link in the chat, bros. Y'all want to speak to any of that?
No, she's right and exact. She represents that sentiment quite quite properly. And it's the sentiment of many of our people around the country at this point. Those who are conscious and aware of the replacement, the interjection of these other types of cultural items, if you will. And I was saying, man, I was in a space, divine. I think it was divine space that we was talking in, and I was saying in that space that a lot of this has to do with the same sentiment that drives the argument about who started hip hop. You know,
That's
it's
right.
it's the
That's right.
same underlying sentiment, which is you Black Americans really don't have any culture. So therefore, blacks of the quote unquote diaspora has to come into America and interject these quote unquote cultural items into you all's things to make it more authentic, because without us your stuff is not really authentic, right? And so now we have to have kente cloth going on. We have to have the djembe drumming happening. We have to have African dances. We have to have Afro beats going on. We have to have Jamaican artists or Caribbean artists performing at these Juneteenth celebrations. We have to have Afro Colombian, artists coming in. It's all of this, right? The RBG flag of Marcus Garvey's organization has to be present because you Black Americans really don't have culture. Remember, Busta Rhymes already told you that that America at large, but he said you really didn't have no culture until the Caribbeans came here and brought hip hop or whatever the hell. You see what I'm saying? And so that's really, to me, the underlying sentiment driving all of this stuff is the idea that you all really don't have any culture or customs that are authentic of yourselves. So it has to come from outside.
That's right. And I want to, as y'all see Fannie Lou Hamer and Ella Baker up on that screen, Fannie Lou Hamer don't have a RBG flag in her hand. She has the American. This is our country. We built this country. We've been citizens in this country from day one, as we've shown and proven on this platform several times. But I want to pull up. Oh, there we go. Because you spoke to something. This usurpation of our culture, right? So let's do this. This is coming out of New York, brother Tony Blunt. Shout out to the Freedmen in New York, brother Divine, brother Tony Blunt. Stop sharing that. Let's share this. Now, I want y'all to listen. This is coming out of New York. I want y'all to listen. Let's blow this up.
So I want to close by just putting my hand on this flag. So we know Juneteenth has its own flag. But as of June 19th, 2022, for the first time in history, the red, black, and green will fly on every state building from Brooklyn to Buffalo. So I want to thank the mayor for his support, but I also want to give it up for the Black, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, and Asian caucus who did the work to help me get that resolution passed. And I want to thank the governor and the lieutenant governor for their support. So if you're around on Monday, come on down to Shirley Chisholm State Office Building, because we're going to be waving the flag and talking about liberation. So I want to close.
All right, I'm gonna
that.
Yeah,
resent that,
I want to play it again, Ali, and we're gonna stop and talk about it. Just let's play it again. You resent it. It goes to what you was just saying about it's like our hip hop that y'all don't really got no culture, so we have to interject or inject this thing into it to give it some form of validity. No, we have culture. Our culture and our cultural expressions is what moves this world. Fashion, slang, vernacular, etc. That all comes from the American freedmen. Make no mistake about it. What Rakim said, I could take a phrase that's rarely heard and now flip it, and this is a daily word. That's what the freedmen been doing for the longest. But let's run through this again.
Just put my hand on this flag. So we know.
So she said, let me just put my hand on this flag.
Who is she? Is she an immigrant?
I don't know. I'll pull it up. Tony Blunt has a caption, and I think her name is in the caption. She's making it seem like this is not a flag. This is a banner that's called the flag. The banner of Marcus Garvey's UNIA organization. That's first and foremost. That's the first thing that I want to clarify for the people. This is a flag that represents no nation. Whether a nation adopted those colors somewhere down the line in the 50s, 60s, or 70s, that's something else. But insofar as this flag, this concept at its core, it's a banner that represents Marcus Garvey's movement. And y'all know we call Marcus Garvey the Messiah of Mission Drift over here on this channel.
Juneteenth has its own flag. But as of June 19th, 2022, for the first time in history, the red, black, and green will fly on every state building from Brooklyn to Buffalo.
Okay, Ali, did you hear that? She said Juneteenth has its own flag. Here's that usurpation that we're talking about.
Yep. She already acknowledges that Juneteenth had its own flag, but F that. We bringing this flag, and we going to raise this one over that one because that one is irrelevant. That one is invalid. That one is not authentic. This one is authentically black.
And we're going to raise it on every, what she said, state building
every
from
state
Brooklyn
house.
to Buffalo. Every state house from Brooklyn to Buffalo. So she's Stephanie Zimmerman. I don't know what her background is. I'm not seeing anything that I can pull up at the moment, but we'll get to her. Let's finish.
I'm gonna look her up right now while you talk.
All right, let's finish playing this.
So I want to thank the mayor for his support, but I also want to give it up for the Black, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, and Asian caucus.
The Black, Puerto Rican, Spanish, and Asian caucus family. I want to give it up. See, This is what's going on with our people. This is why New York, I love the work that the bros are doing up there, the brothers and sisters. We got sisters up there that are doing their thing with the brothers up there. I don't ever want to forget about our sisters that's putting in work. So it's such an uphill battle with New York for a plethora of reasons. a plethora. I'm not gonna enumerate them at the moment, but it's just crazy. And this is what you're gonna have to deal with. And so the fight just in New York alone is going to have to be something that's monumental. It's gonna have to be a monumental fight in New York. And I'm gonna get to a little bit of that in a few.
Zinnerman. Her name is Zinnerman. Stephanie Zinnerman, a member of the Black Puerto Rican Hispanic and Asian Legislative Caucus,
And she's a part of the New York Assembly.
and she's from Brooklyn, which tells me, right, that
Mm-hmm.
there is a high possibility of a Caribbean background. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
say that she is Caribbean or that her parents are American. It doesn't say one way or the other. It just says that she's from Brooklyn. And we already know that Brooklyn has a heavy black immigrant
DTP
Caribbean.
Prom said he thinks she's a Haitian immigrant.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
He
See,
said he wasn't sure. He believes that.
it's highly possible when you dealing with Brooklyn. It's a high possibility that is somebody of the Caribbean. Now, the thing about it is, one of the things we know coming from the Caribbean is that you all are not really Americans. You all should not adopt those colors. You all shouldn't be flying those American flags. You all need culture. We, the Caribbean people of the world, have the culture that you all need. We got the answers, a la Marcus Garvey.
Yeah, we're gonna get to old Marcus Garvey in a few minutes. I don't know. Do I need to play? I don't need to play the rest of this. I'm not gonna play the rest of this. But I wanna let's close that out and let's pull this up. Because this is gonna play into our Marcus Garvey phase of this whole thing. So this is Mark Thompson. Those of you know this is like this narc and then Cobra representative. And this is what they do, right? Lifting our sister up from the reparations garden in the colors of the Pan African flag at the White House. Now, the White House put out the real colors. The Narcan and Cobra Pan Africanists are there promoting the RBG colors. He said, we can't celebrate a holiday for freedom until Brittany Griner is free. No, we can celebrate, and we are commemorating and celebrating this holiday. I don't know what this guy is talking about. Reverend Mark Thompson doesn't speak for me, and he doesn't speak for the majority of the freedmen. And once they get a breakdown, like so many people came on my thread today and was like, wow, I didn't know that. From my Twitter feed to my Facebook page where I made the same post, there were people saying, oh, I didn't know that the RBG flag wasn't the flag of Juneteenth and that these wasn't our colors. I know better now. I know now. I learned something new today. If you go through the tweet, especially, and if you go through my posts on Facebook, I think I got a couple of those comments on my Facebook page as well. You will see them. And this is what they're about. I don't know what this Brittany Griner person did. I'm not invested in her story. I know the Russians are holding her for some reason. I'm not going to pretend to know what it is and what it's about. I'm not going to say I don't care because I don't know, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So let me see. Grim, you got anything to share on that before we pull this Garvey file?
I just want to say, it's no need to withhold. It's no need to withhold
Yeah, you breaking up, Grim.
celebrating. Because the young lady is over there. And my prayers go out. I hope she has a speedy
Yeah,
release
Grim,
from the
Grim,
of You
Grim,
know, the Russian.
can
Yes.
you hear me? Yeah, your audio is going in and out, bro.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yep, yep.
Yeah. I'm gonna just say real quick. I hope the home safe. It's no reason to actually withhold the holiday itself from Freedmen. But the bottom line, man, is that these people be grandstanding, on a lot of BS.
Indeed. All right, so I want to do this. I shared this before. This was like my Pan Africanist flow chart that I did when we did one live stream on Pan Africanism. And this was a conclusion that I came up to yesterday, that the RBG flag is the banner of the Black Democrats. Think about it. The people that are promoting Juneteenth are not even trying to promote red, white, and blue. Red, black, and green at its core is this banner is anti-American. That's
That's a fact.
first and foremost.
That's a
It's
fact.
it is anti-American. It is anti-establishment. This is why Garvey was trying to take the people back to Africa. Mission drift. Mission drift.
And misdirection by telling black Americans who have been here for generations, invested in this country, that he agreed with the Ku Klux Klan song that every nation has a flag except the coon, right? First of all,
Mm-hmm.
he
Mm-hmm.
agrees that the black Americans were coons. Right? He's agreeing with this. Like, yeah, it's
Talk to
true.
him, Ali.
Until up until now the coons have a flag, and here it is. This is it right here. But here's the problem. Those so-called coons been had a flag. They
That's
been
right.
had a flag. It's the same flag that they fought under when they fought for their liberation and their families' liberation. Same red, white, and blue flag. The principles that that flag supposed to represent: life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, all of those things embedded in that Declaration of Independence. That's the flag. Those are the colors that those people fought under. And they have a flag. It is what it is. He came trying to tell the people, you ain't. See, this is what I mean. All of this, like you talking about this anti-American, anti-establishment, anti-government sentiment, is actually a sentiment that comes from outside of our community. This is
That's
coming
right.
from foreign blacks, man. Like
That's
a
right.
lot of. Let me tell you something, man. I'm trying to get off the soapbox, but the fact of the matter is, a lot of fucked up shit that comes into our community is coming from foreign black people.
That's right. So let's scroll through this real quick. This is the Congressional Black Caucus, right? And none of them have any problems with this RBG flag. And we get to this Jamaican woman who is the lead sponsor of the flawed reparations study bill, HR 40. This is RBG personified. RBG personified. So you get to Narcan and Cobra, right? You get to the heads of Narcan and Cobra, Ron Daniels and Cam Howard. RBG personified. They're all linked. They're all linked to the Democrats, and they're linked to this RBG stuff. You got Roland Martin, right? Roland Martin represents what he calls new black media, but he's not new black media. He's old black media, old gaslighting black media at that. And these are the people that they have. Ray Winbush, right? We have Ray Winbush in the Twitter space. Sister Roz and brother Ali. I know Ali was moving about, so he couldn't engage. I was seething to get on that stage, boy. I tell you, Ray Winbush was being so disrespectful to Sister Roz, and she was trying to, keep it cool. She wasn't trying to
Trying to be
argue with the.
professional.
Oh man.
But when we finally did engage, when
Oh
we
yeah,
finally did lock horns, he cut and run.
he bounced quick like a sucker. because these people are cowards. They're cowards. And Mark Thompson, we just showed him holding up this picture of the, what's her name? Griner, Kimberly. What was her name? I forgot that fad. But, you know, and I was showing the different RBG people, Joy Reid, Digital Sister. And, you know, some of these people are Freedmen. This lower level jam person, she's a troublemaker. Right.
She
So
ain't
we,
no Freedman, man. I don't
no,
care what she
yeah, I don't
said.
believe that neither.
Jam is lying. Jam is a foreign black. Keep it on it.
And but shout out, let me pull this one up. Derek Smith, shout out, brother Derek Smith says Sister Antonia was passing out USDOF literature at the African American Museum in Boston, Juneteenth celebration. Honors, man, honors. They're like that. That's huge. And one of the things that we're gonna do really soon is start opening this thing up for membership and start building branches of the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen all over the country. I'm gonna put a call out at the end of this live stream for the people in Georgia, particularly because, you know, the things that I'm working on out here, you know, only the people in Georgia are going to be able to help in the interim. So I'm going to need all hands on deck for that. So let me see. Let me see. I want to go to this RBG. I want to get to the just a little brief history of the flag. And I'm gonna be honest and fair because I'm honest and fair. And those that know me, they know that. We could all be wrong about something. We could all slip up, whatever. That happens. But I did find a reference to Garvey saying that the red, black, and green is different than what they say now, right? It was the black people, the blood and nature, right? Now they say the blood of the slave, the black is for the black and the green is for the land. But then I believe the word Garvey used was nature. But this is from a book called Black and Green: The Fight for Civil Rights. And let me put that link in there.
This is the piece you read
yeah.
on that space, right? Yeah.
Yeah, on Divine Space. Dude tried to come in there, that brother from the UK start capping. So let me read this because this is talking about Garvey's connection to the Irish people. Because you got people trying to say, well, you know, there was no, Garvey didn't mean that, or Garvey didn't say that. Rather, not he didn't mean it. He didn't say that, and this reporter somehow twisted Garvey's word.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And before I read this, one of the things that I explained to the brother was that Garvey, when he was locked up in the Atlanta penitentiary in 1927, I believe it was. I believe the year was 1927.
Mm-hmm.
He received a report from the Detroit branch of the UNIA. And the head of the UNIA in Detroit said that there's this man named Noble Drew Ali who's using Garvey's name, basically trying to make it seem like he was using Garvey's name to attract leadership. Now, that may have been the case. From my vantage point, it seemed as if Noble Drew Ali was trying to, laud Garvey and give him props. Like, we're not going to let Garvey's contributions be forgotten over here.
Hey, right? Man, he did the same thing that Elijah turned around and did to him. He was doing it to Garvey.
Basic, right? So Garvey said, I know nothing of the man you speak. Now, and I brought that up for a reason. I brought that up to show that Garvey was aware of what was being written at that time, whether he was out on the streets or if he was locked up. He was able to address anything. And if this wasn't the case, then he would have addressed it. So I want to read from here. So it's like, within a year, large-scale guerrilla war had broken out in Ireland, with the police and British soldiers targets of IRA attacks. Hundreds of soldiers died in ambushes, and hundreds more civilians were killed in reprisals. Garvey supported the Irish Republican struggle during these traumatic years. At a speech in Madison Square Garden in New York in August 1920, just before the UNIA conference opened, Garvey announced he was sending a telegram to De Valera, whom he recognized as president of the Irish Republic, although the governments of Britain and America did not. Quote, 25,000 Negro delegates send you greetings as president of the Irish Republic. Please accept sympathy of Negroes of the world for your cause. Keep up the fight for a free Ireland, it read. I laugh because when you know the history of the Irish Americans in New York, and I'm going to get to that in a few minutes, then it'll make you chuckle about.
It sounds straight bananas.
It sounds crazy. Please reference our video that we did, a critique of Marcus Garvey. That's where we dubbed him the Messiah of Mission Drift. Because let me read that again. 25,000 Negro delegates send you greetings as president of the Irish Republic. Please accept sympathy of Negroes of the world for your cause. Keep up the fight for a free Ireland. A few weeks later, Garvey was interviewed by journalist Charles Mowbray White on his hopes for the UNIA. Garvey told Mowbray he had already proposed that the organization's colors should be red, black, and green. Garvey said red because of sympathy with the quote-unquote reds of the world, and the green, their sympathy for the Irish and their fight for freedom, and the black for the Negro. At the end of, I don't gotta, read the rest of it, but I was just, at the end of the August 1920, the convention elected Garvey provisional president of Africa, an idea borrowed from De Valera and declaring himself president of Ireland. I'm just saying, bro. Go ahead, man. Don't go in.
And he's he was voted in as president of Africa by a bunch of American Negroes. Not the Africans themselves, but American Negroes made him the president of Africa.
Remember, Ali, what did he call the Africans?
Backwards
savages, I believe, is the proper term. Backwards savages. So
that's a fact.
Let me see if I can find this quote.
Hey man, I hit Shay Sade with that. I was going back and forth with Shay Sade on Twitter once, and I was like, "You talking about Garvey?" And first of all, the man never even went to Africa himself. They was trying to say, "Oh, it was because of the Goodyear Tire Company," and it was something about the rubber company over there. And he was so radical that they didn't want him over there. No, the fact of the matter is, before he even made the comments that he made, he could have went straight to Africa from Jamaica. He didn't have to come to America. He could have went straight there before he started making all his radical statements. If you think that was the reason why certain people in Africa didn't want him over there, they didn't want him over there because he was a rabble rouser and he was a criminal, and they seen what he did to the American blacks. They're like, why do we want? If you know anything about trying to get citizenship, if you will, in an African nation, one of the things that they don't want are criminals. They make that clear. They want people who are in good stead. They don't want no criminals or no con men and all that kind of stuff over there. But the truth of the matter is, he never went to Africa himself.
That's right.
Even when he had the chance to, he didn't go. And at the same time, it's right in his own documents that he felt that the tribes were backwards and needed like some kind of religious guidance underneath Christianity.
That's right. Did I put the link in the inbox?
That's right. It's in that quote about him saying that they were backwards or to civilize the backwards tribes of Africa is in his lessons in that book, The School on African Philosophy.
Yes,
we got the sources and the references. Let me read this real quick. This is from Hiram Ketchum, Irish American, and this was said right before.
You're not sharing it. Just
no, I'm not. I'm gonna just. It's a short quote. It says, "If ever a conflict arises between races, the people of the city of New York will stand by their brethren, the white race, We will never suffer you to be trampled upon by those of another blood. Now, this was Hiram Ketchum, Irish American. Remember, we've read on this platform several times how A. Philip Randolph chided the West Indians in New York City because they came to get money. They complained of racism and discrimination, but when our people, the freedmen, were pressing them to become citizens, they weren't trying to do anything. They was like, we good on that. We just trying to get our money. And the Garvey Must Go campaign, the 1923 letter to the U.S. Attorney General. What was this man's name? I got it pulled up. Hold up. What was his name? Let me see. He was the one that was leading, because I shared the screenshots. William Pickens. I shared the screenshot. So in their Garvey Must Go letter, right? It says at point 5, the UNIA is composed chiefly of the most primitive, ignorant element of West Indian and American Negroes. The so-called respectable element of the movement are largely ministers without churches, physicians without patients, lawyers without clients, and publishers without readers, who are usually in search of easy money. In short, this organization is composed in the main of Negro sharks and ignorant Negro fanatics. And this was one of the reasons why Hubert Harrison left that organization, who himself was from the Caribbean. And
he wasn't the only person. He wasn't the only Caribbean that had problems with Garvey. There was there was a group of other Caribbean men who also had problems with him and wound up falling out with him.
That's right.
You remember the name of that brotherhood, Grim? That it was a group of Caribbeans that was working within the UNIA, but then they wound up falling out with Garvey and chastising him over his bad business dealings and stuff. Do you remember the name of that crew?
Right. I think it was called the Blood Brotherhood or something to that effect, but
Mm-hmm.
don't quote me on that.
Yeah,
I'll
it
look
was
it
Something
up
something
like
like
real
that.
quick.
It was something like that.
Somebody put the ABB, the African Black Brotherhood.
There you
That's
go,
what it
bro.
was.
There you go. Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
what it was. Good looking, Meta Ace.
Indeed.
So, just want to get on here and talk. The history has been shared. Brother Ibrahim was supposed to be coming on so we could do like the second leg of this discussion. And that was to basically speak to the leadership of black men moving forward. And he had a really dope breakdown that I was hoping he would have got on and shared with the family. But we had a good discussion earlier. Y'all see that picture in the background, that the colorized freedmen, colored troops. I'll sing. As soon as I
I
sing
like
that, I
all
was like,
that
oh,
RBG in there. There's a lot
yeah,
of red, black, and green up in that.
So I mean, we see what it is, but I wanted to kind of get into that as well, and I was gonna like really just camelback off of his talking points. When we look at these men, when we look at these men in this background, these are the men that fought for our freedom. These are the men that fought for our freedom right here.
Niggas was lying about Buffalo Soldiers being dreadlock rosters and shit. Like, what the, niggas was, yo, what the fuck, yo? This is what I'm saying. Like, all these people coming from other places just lying and shit, man. What the fuck is going on, man?
Buffalo Soldier, dreadlock roster.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. The brother Meta 4A said that the African Blood Brotherhood was out there putting in work in Tulsa, Oklahoma as well. That's something we got to look up. But, one of the things that we're seeing, right, as I mentioned, the Democrats, is they're trying to weaken black manhood or freedman manhood. I want to start getting away from these racial terms as well. You know, Ali said something the other day. He was like, man, F the racial wealth gap. So we can forget F race work, period. Like, we gotta stop calling it the racial wealth gap. I had to think on that for a second. I'm like, yeah, right. That's the thing that's hamstringing us.
Yo, yo, I told you I was talking with my brother. It was funny, right? It was like 2019. I'm trying to put him up on where we was going with everything at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to him about the racial wealth gap, right? I'm hitting him with all of the Darity info and all that. Hey, my brother's like, why you worrying about the racial wealth gap? Right? Like, is that what you worrying about that for? Like, I'm like, yo, because, man. And then I'm hitting him with the data, but it didn't really click to me, to be honest with you, until a couple of days ago. And I was like, wait a minute. Why are we worrying about some damn racial wealth gap? We
That's
don't
right.
really need to be doing no race work, man. I mean, if
That's
we
right.
freedmen first, we got to be freedmen first, man. F the race work. All the race work has already been done. If you think about it, Garvey did it. Uh, Elijah did it. Van Sertima did it. John
John
Henry
Henry
Clark
Clark.
did it. Sheikh Anta Diop did it. Theophilo Benga did it. You see what I'm saying? Like, all the race work has already been done. Now it's time to really focus on us. So for me, the wealth gap is between freedmen and white America. I ain't worrying about no racial wealth gap. That's just me. That's just me. Everybody can look at it how they want to look at it, but that's just me.
Indeed, and I feel you. I don't know what to call it, right? Because if I'm gonna stop using black, I want to stop using white too, because those are names that I haven't been particularly using over the past 10+ years, anyway. But and I understand that we're gonna do a breakdown soon, family. It'll probably be this upcoming Tuesday, probably, where we are going to talk about. Let me see, talk about blackness and Negro being a badge of slavery. Okay, Craig Lewis Bay posted the African Blood Brotherhood and the short-lived. All right, this it must be a link that's on Facebook, so I can't see the whole thing. For several weeks now, crews from around the country have been in Tulsa with highly specialized ground penetrating. Okay, so it's a link. Okay, cool. It's a link that he put. I'm gonna check that on the Facebook feed because we're streaming from Facebook and we're streaming to Twitter as well. But yeah, fam, we got to talk about that, man. The badges and the incidents of slavery. We got to talk about that. You start looking at this thing through your free. You got to start looking at these things through your Freeman lenses, right? And when you put your Freeman lenses on, everything it becomes a little bit clearer. Things start to make a little more sense once you analyze it and become a little more analytical of it in its legislative context, its historical context, and its judicial context. That's why one of the things that we're going to touch on when we go into the Black Negro Badges incident of slavery piece is the Civil Rights Act of 1866, and probably more specifically the Civil Rights Act of 1875, and how the Supreme Court ruling of 1883 overruled those acts. We're gonna get deep on that one. So I'm gonna say this because we're not gonna stay on here too much longer. If you are in Georgia, hit me up. I'm gonna put my email address in the chat. Naheem at usadof.org. Hit me up. One of the things that we're gonna do here in Georgia is we're gonna challenge House Bill 932. House Bill 932 is basically this government in Georgia fast tracking these refugees so that they could go to uh, colleges like Athens Tech and receive skills training. Now, you have a poor black community right in the city of Athens, Georgia, where Athens Tech is. And instead of incentivizing our freedmen to go get this education, one of the things that Republicans and Democrats are trying to do in Georgia is get these immigrants to come in and pay in-state tuition fees. Now, these people have no money. They have no money. So who's paying the in-state tuition fees? Which is like the in-state tuition fees is about 7,000. The out-of-state tuition fees is 20 something thousand dollars. So we know that the federal government is footing the bill. And there's this familiar language that we keep hearing: labor shortage, labor shortage. You have the highest unemployed group in the United States of America are the freedmen. And you're going to tell me that you're going to bring in refugees from another country, pay for their college, so that they could go to a school like Athens Tech, receive all of the skills, and then go, and next thing you know, they're your supervisors at the job. These people that could barely speak English. No, we have to push back against that. If you're in the Georgia area, link up with me. If you know how to reach me from Twitter, at Real Naheem. My email address, Naheem, Nyhiem, the way you see it on the screen, Nyhiem at usadof.org. Another thing that we want to do is do what's called the facial challenge to the gratuities clause in the Georgia State's Constitution. In the Georgia State Constitution, they have something called the gratuities clause, which means that if you receive reparations from the state of Georgia, like what Cali is doing, right? So let's just say the state of California reaches an agreement that they are actually going to pay cash payments to individuals. The way Georgia's state constitution is set up, and it's really an interpretation of their constitution, a reinterpretation. You can't receive individual payments. The city in which you live, they would receive the payments and disperse the funds as they see fit. We want to do a facial challenge to that. Look up facial challenge. A facial challenge is basically challenging the constitutionality of a law, code, ordinance, or provision that you may find in a state's constitution. So if you are in the state of Georgia, hit me up. Let's build, family. So, I don't have too much else to share. Brother Grimm, you got something you want to share before we get off air?
I'm good, brother, man.
All right, Brother Ali.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put it out there one more time. We're not about the business of doing race work. Now that brothers' campaign is over, there's a lot. There was things that I didn't really want to say nothing about because I know where certain support was coming from, right? And I didn't want to ruffle any feathers or whatever as we had been doing prior to that. But
Oh,
I
you mean
just,
with the pretendians?
yes,
Okay.
yes, because here's what I say, right? We know that as reparationists, let's contextualize this thing. As reparationists, that the problem with moving forward from the perspective of race is real, right? The problems are real, right? There's going to be constitutional challenges. So our thing was always trying to figure out how do we deal with this from the path of least resistance, right? And one of our positions was to go back into that that particular status that this government had already recognized and acknowledged and did things on behalf of, right? And that was obviously the freedman status. Easy work, right? Easy, right? It seemed like simple stuff. Problem is, as we continue to have conversations about status, other people want to consistently have conversations about race and ethnicity. We're actually having two different conversations, and a lot of people don't even realize it. So, my thing is to put out there we are, as United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, and BTP, are not about the business of doing race work with regards to reparations. That's not our business. If you want to do race work, you do that. But our thing is about reparations, about picking up the mantle of the ex-slave pension association, where those people were trying to get payments, trying to get those people compensated for the work that they did during slavery, and to make this government live up to its promises and commitments of the reconstruction period, trying to get the government to do what was right by those particular people, and they petitioned the government on behalf of freedmen, right? You can look at the bill that Callie House's organization reintroduced, which was a reintroduction of the bill that Walter Vaughn had earlier introduced. The language is almost identical. So what we're trying to do is pick up that mantle and run with it. Make this government live up to the commitments, live up to the promises of the Reconstruction period. That was not about the black race. That was about the freedmen who were emancipated into poverty and homelessness in 1865, racial terrorism, those land grants that Dr. Darity always talking about, those 40-acre plots, land grants that they reneged on. You see, all that stuff that would have helped to build generational wealth where you could pass it down generation to generation. And maybe we wouldn't even be having this conversation today had they done those things that they were supposed to do during Reconstruction. But that wasn't race work. That was work specifically for the freedmen, those 4 million emancipated men and women in 1865. Everybody else is trying to do race work. They trying to do race work, which is essentially Pan Africanism, Afrocentrism, Indian race work. If you look, if your thing is about doing Indian race work, by all means do that, but don't convolute it. Don't bring that into this Cali House reparations work for freedmen.
Because Indian is a racial category.
Indian is a racial category, and if you want to do race work, Indian race work, go to your nation and do the work through your tribal governments. Go to the Bureau of Indian Affairs and do your work through the Bureau of Indian Affairs. They already have mechanisms set up for people to work through on behalf of their nations. So if that's what you're trying to do, Indian race work, do that through your Indian nation's government and through the Bureau of Indian Affairs. We are doing the work that Callie House and them couldn't continue to do. That's what we're trying to do. And that ain't race work.
That's right. That's right. So, man, I can't wait. I can't wait. I cannot wait. We're gonna go in probably Tuesday. Probably Tuesday. Again, family. We're gonna start. I want to start now because we have to take control of our narrative. In Atlanta, Georgia next year, I want to hold the Freedmen Parade. And next year, Saturday, I think June 19th is going to fall on Monday. Oh, excuse me. I think June 19th falls on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. So next year, Saturday, I mean, we're going to celebrate Juneteenth weekend regardless, right? So I want to do a parade next year, Saturday, and I want to do a Freedmen convention that Sunday. Next year, now. Next year, now, right? So be looking out for that. Be looking out for the call, all the people in Georgia. because I'm gonna be putting that out soon, one day this week, so we could just have like a back channel discussion, and we're gonna build, and we're gonna be opening up membership to the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen soon. We're gonna like really get this ball rolling on starting, branches all over the country. We're working on some things right now, and we will see that to fruition because it's needed. People need to hear this Freedman work. Like I said, that tweet today, when people were responding, wow, I didn't know that. Meaning, I didn't know that the colors wasn't RBG. I didn't know that the colors were red, white, and blue. I didn't know that. Brothers came in the chat as earlier, I forget which brother it was, said that he was telling his people that, this is what this Freedman thing is about. This is what Juneteenth is about. This is what the colors are for Juneteenth. The colors are of Juneteenth, excuse me. So we want to get all of that up and running soon. And I'm trying to read and talk at the same time. My mind is just all over the place. But we're going to get all of that stuff going soon, family. We are going to get all of that stuff going soon. So y'all make sure that y'all shout out to the midwife. Shout out to Abdul Sharif, Antonia Edwards. Honest to you, sister. First Lady of Love, Craig Lewis Bay, Jake M, Jaron 215. Sister Kelly is in the building. Who else, man? I ain't gonna scroll all the way back up. All right, that's it. So shout out to all of the family that came through. You already know. We just had to do a little brief breakdown. We wanted to show the Juneteenth colors, man. That yes, the flag, it was created in 1997. The inspiration of the colors, however, is based on the fact that we are Americans. Okay, here's a good question, Ali, before we get out of here. Matter of fact, anybody got any questions, put them in the chat. I seen a couple questions earlier that I wasn't able to get to. So Seven Mingo Sachem says, what about the people who were freed during slavery? Where do they fall into the picture?
Which people you talking about? If you're talking about, listen, this is what we got to do. We can't deal with this based on race. Can't deal with it based on race. So if you're talking about people who were listed in these in documentation as Negroes, right? And I know that y'all say some of these Indians were listed as Negroes. White people may have listed them as Negroes, but them quote unquote Indians always knew that they was Indians, and they always knew what tribe they were affiliated with. So it didn't matter if white people called them Negroes or blacks. They themselves knew who they were, right? That's the thing. So when you're talking about free people during the time of slavery, many of those free people are descendants of enslaved people or were themselves at one point former slaves who may have been manumitted by an owner, who may have ran away from slavery and ran to a quote unquote free state in the north, etc., right? Or whose parents were themselves slaves and then they were born free. But they themselves too often, in many instances, are descendants of enslaved people. This is just a part of the history. So even those people still carried the freedman status. See, because the freedman status is an inherited status, just like the slave status was an inherited status. That's the point.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I like that. Let me pull Abdul Sharif's comment up. Freedmen Convention in 2023 will be prolific. Definitely will get the Freedmen ready for the election 2024. I am definitely supporting the Freedmen. He said not necessarily the red, white, and blue for me. I mean, it's like this, right? When you research the colors of the flag, the colors of the flag. We as a people embody that. We embody, I don't know what they are off the top of the head, but we embody what those colors symbolize. And we have a love-hate relationship with the United States of America, and I understand that. But we got to know that on the one hand, you have white supremacists that didn't want us to be American. They didn't want us to vote. They didn't want us exercising any rights, especially any rights that they felt was equal to their rights as American citizens. They didn't want that. This birthed people like Marcus Garvey and the anti-American sentiment that he pushed, which is embedded in his RBG flag. This is our country. We've been citizens from day one. One of the greatest tricks the devil ever pulled was convincing us that we are not citizens of this country.
Indeed. Can I speak on it?
Oh yeah,
brother,
yeah. Let me read Otis' comment and then go in, Grim. OG Otis said many free Negroes suffered indentured servitude at the whim of slave catchers. They weren't equal to whites. And that's a fact.
That's
Go ahead,
right.
Brother Grim.
Indeed. I'm a dare to venture and say that you can't be in a
Josh just
freedman.
jumped on. My bad. That's what the laughter is for. Josh just jumped on. Go ahead, Grim.
Oh yeah. Basically, oh Josh.
Yeah. He pulled it
Last
down.
Y'all
minute
wrapping up.
Josh.
Oh,
but
I
but
just seen the
basically,
link. I just hopped on.
Josh is funny. Come on.
I've been in DC all day, man. My phone died. I just turned it back on. I was like, okay, well, all right.
Hey,
I ain't got
Josh.
nothing to say, y'all. Peace.
You
Whatever
turn.
these
Hey,
brothers said was powerful.
Hey,
I
wait,
don't. I already
Josh.
know.
You turn the phone on and say, "Hey, the show is starting. Let me jump on."
Hey, the show just started. Hey, shout out to my sister Constance out there at B-More, man. Straight up. She said, get stuck in another country and you'll wish that red, white, and blue flag comes save you. I've already heard stories like that, sis. Yeah, go ahead, Grim.
Hey, what
yeah.
was the topic of the show anyway?
The topic was just going in on the red, just the origins of the Juneteenth colors and the red, black, and green usurpation of our Freedmen holiday. You just touched on that. I got into Garvey's Irish, the green part of the red, black, and green being tied to Ireland. I went a little deeper
Peace.
than what people usually go,
Yeah.
and showing how Garvey had this intimate relationship with a provisional president of Ireland as well, by the name of what was this guy's name? De Valera. We broke some things down. We read a couple articles. You know how we do.
Yeah. Well, I got one interesting.
Hey Josh, can I
Perspective.
finish what I was saying?
Hold on, John.
Okay, go ahead.
John's like, I'm about to come in and just talk. And we
Damn,
ain't wrapping nothing up.
bro. I always tell y'all, Josh, you always do that to me, bro. I forget what the point that I was gonna make. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you my bad. Go ahead. I got mine. Go ahead, Graham. My bad.
He done forgot the point.
Go ahead, bro.
Well, maybe I'll help bring it back. So my experience today, I was in DC. Father's Day. I was with my family, my dad, and everybody. And then afterwards, I pretty much just went by myself. I wanted to visit the Smithsonian of African American history and culture. And one of the when I left out of there, that's a powerful place. I don't know if anybody that's on this program listening has ever been there, but I hadn't been there in several years, and they had one exhibit there that's specifically focusing on on Reconstruction. It's called Making Good on Failed Promises or something like that. And it's just powerful, man. If you're in the DC area, or if you can make it, I think that exhibit is going to be around until the end of August, or like the August the 21st or something. So if you can make it to the joint before then, I would recommend it highly. But and since I've been, they've kind of revamped it and all of that. But my experience that I want to talk about was, after I kind of got charged up going in there, I come outside and it's all these vendors on the street, and I see all these Juneteenth shirts, and I've been seeing them all since I was in the museum, and all the Juneteenth, everything is all red, black, and green. And I'm like, man, we really have a lot of work to do to get this American freedmen paradigm change that we need to get the political change that's gonna be necessary to get reparations momentum really going, not just with us who understand all this, right? Not just with the core reparationist group. I'm talking about we need this information to be spread to everybody, like RBG is. It's going to take an effort, but we just got to start small. Like I went to one of the vendors. I was like, yeah, I'm trying to, I know you're trying to sell me some shirts, but I'm looking for a Juneteenth shirt with red, white, and blue. And he started looking perplexed. And, I said, yeah, we're looking for red, white, and blue. You don't have that? That might be something good you want to add, because there's actually, those are the actual colors of the Juneteenth flag. It's like the Juneteenth flag. You mean the American flag that's red, black, and green? I was like, no, that's a fake. That's not real.
That's right.
But he didn't know. So he didn't. I said I had on my F1 T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I had on my American Freedmen F1 T-shirt, and I told him, I said, it has this symbol here. It's up as red, white, and blue. And he was just like, wow, I didn't know that. But this is a dude selling all kind of shirts, and he, on the side of the street, right outside of the African American Smithsonian. And I'm like, man, all these people with these RBG colors on Juneteenth, the people that are pushing the business of Juneteenth are really now solidifying the miseducation and the imagery around that.
Yes.
So that's problematic, and we're gonna have to change that.
We use the Juneteenth star and Nova in our F1 logo. I don't know if anybody ever peeped that, but that's what Josh is talking about. But you're absolutely right, man. Grim, did you remember what you were gonna speak on?
Yeah, basically, man, I was gonna speak to the brother Sharif, Abdul Sharif, in regards to the colors. I respect what he's saying, but it kind of goes back to what we was talking about the other day. It wouldn't be no freedmen without the red, white, and blue, and it wouldn't be no freedom without the red, white, and blue. Because you have to understand that United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, we basically operating on a principle of American law, American politics, and American history. So we have to honor the red, white, blue, not because it's something that's foreign to us, but because that is us. And everything that we've done, everything that we've gone through in America has basically went to, basically establish this whole paradigm that we call America, and the freedoms and stuff that people enjoy over here. And, all of those people flocking to come here. I was watching something on Fox News earlier, and they were saying that they got something like a whole, these different caravans and waves of caravans of people that's coming here by the thousand. But anyway, it was through American law, American jurisprudence, and through American bloodshed that the freedman was able to get free and obtain that status of freedman, and to come up out of slavery and live in this system. But basically, the powers, that be, they don't want us to see that, man. But all this stuff belongs to the freedmen, man.
Until the freedmen shall return. And yeah, like Josh was saying, man, that's again, family, we want to do a parade next year in Atlanta, Georgia. This is just an idea that I'm floating, but I think Atlanta is a perfect place to do this parade at. I want to get a parade going in Atlanta, Georgia next year, Saturday. That next Sunday, I want to have a great Freedmen convention. Pretty soon, we are going to start opening up the membership rolls and start establishing branches of the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen all over this country. So if that's something that you're interested in, hit me up, man. The people from Georgia, remember, we are pushing.
Hey,
Go
Naheem,
ahead, bro.
what if we proffered to the people that Garvey stole his flag? And I know we talked about this before, and you know, what if we proffered to the people that Garvey stole his flag from an Islamic nation in the east of Africa?
Well,
Would they still accept that flag?
that's funny. That's funny. But I feel where you going with that. But Garvey's idea for that flag came from Hubert Harrison's flag of the Liberty League, right? And you know, the history that I have showed that Hubert Harrison's flag, the black, brown, and yellow flag, was for the black, brown, and yellow people around the world. So, Rob Bourne jumped on my Twitter. He's like, I got Lord Abba on something. They be waiting. They be waiting to get me on just one thing. He's like, well, he did say that the black, brown, and yellow flag also, no, he ain't say also. He said represented the different shades of the Negro in America. And I'm like, okay, let me look it up. And I looked it up and I found that he did say that. He did say that. But he still said that the brown, yellow, and the black, brown, and yellow flag also represents the black, brown, yellow people across the planet. And that's what inspired Garvey to do his red, black, and green flag.
Now, let's put them together.
Mm-hmm.
What if the philosophy is what he took from Hubert Harrison, but the color schematic he took from Sudan?
It's possible. It's possible.
And then too, you know, with uh with Marcus Garvey's whole position. I mean, this is on a whole another situation. How, and I think we spoke on this on the last Marcus Garvey show. You know how people basically put Garvey, in this divine reverence, like he was some type of prophet. You know, and I mean his image is even revered amongst the people that they call Rastafarians today in America and elsewhere throughout the Caribbean. When Marcus Garvey was like the chief criticizer of Haile Selassie, the people that the Rastas and the islands and all over the world basically believe is divine. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, man, it's a lot of stuff going on with our people, with imagery, you know, and I come up through all those schools. We all come up through all those schools of thoughts. And I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna bounce because duty calls. Um, Basically, man, there's a lot of false prophets that appeared among the freedmen. And y'all remember that. And a lot of these people we revere, we think they were good, great, and holy. And a lot of these people, man, were deceivers. And, Messiahs of mission drift, and the list goes on. Drew, Garvey, Elijah in many contexts, and one of the chief disciples of him, when he figured out what was going on, his own people killed him. So, this is basically what we dealing with, man. And I was just want to say happy Juneteenth and happy Father's Day to everybody out there, man. And I'm gonna bid y'all peace, brothers.
Peace, peace. All right, man, we gonna get up off of here. Um, I'm looking at the tweets. And my little tweet went viral, a little viral, not
Yeah, yeah,
viral,
so
viral,
wait,
but
let
it
me
went
show this real quick before you
kind of
go.
viral. All right.
Before you go, I just want to show this to the people who might not know what we talking about. Here you go, right here. This is if y'all can see that, that's the flag that I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do the history on the Makdis Sudan and the revolt in Sudan against the British, um, you'll see, you do the history on that, you and dig into some of the images, you can find images of this flag. Years ago, I even found some images of some soldiers of the Sudan with this particular flying this particular flag, as they were engaging, with the British or whatever. But this flag goes back into the 1800s during the time of that revolt. And so like I said, I mean, I don't know that he necessarily took it from here, but it's very possible that, to your point, the philosophy behind what the colors represent, how he philosophized that, maybe that came from Hubert Harrison's breakdown of his flag, and then maybe he took the color scheme from
Mm-hmm.
the Makdis Sudan.
It's possible. It is definitely possible. It is definitely possible. So, I mean, you wanted to share something else, bro?
No, no, that was it.
All right. So, look, fam, we gonna get up off here, man. So we let me see. So let me pull Sister Constance comment up. It's a lot of BS going on. My job had a parade of nations to celebrate Juneteenth. A parade of nations. People were allowed to fly the flag of their countries in the parade. See, this is why I want to do a parade next year. If y'all want to be on the planning committee, hit me up. Let's show. We got to make our own statements, family. We have to make our own statements. We need to raise some money. We need to raise money, get our parade and our convention going, and put the rest of this country on notice. Let me tell you, if you pull up Juneteenth flag and then click on images, you're gonna see a lot more of the Freedmen red, white, and blue popping up than last year. Last year, the page was almost flooded with red, black, and green. So we're making our waves, but remember, it's the black politicians, particularly the Democrats, who are keep black Democrats that have Pan Africanists that work for them, like Roland Martin has Greg Carr. You see the Nation of Islam basically just put out another hit piece on the reparations movement because they're aligned with Narcan and Cobra. It's just a fact. They are really coming off as another Pan-Africanist organization. And these people are tied to the Democratic Party. They don't care about the facts, truth. They want race base. They don't care about lineage base.
And not only do they want race based, they want to act as some sort of trust organization where all the money comes to them and then they can distribute the money how they see fit. And 9 times out of 10, if something like that was to work, you know what they're going to do with the money. They're going to distribute the money to Africans and Caribbeans, anybody who claims to be black, Hispanics that look black, whatever the case is, right? Anybody that has some kind of a melanin that can claim to be black and say that they went through some form of racism in the United States, them people would distribute that money to any and anybody that fall up under that banner.
That's right. That's right. And Blue Morgan said Atlanta had no correct representation of the Juneteenth colors. This was so damn disrespectful to those whose blood is in the soil of this land. I was there last year. I was there. Me, brother Rashad, and Ty Harper we were out there last year, and I'm looking. I'm like, this ain't it. This ain't it, man. I want to do something. You know, you go to those events, they have the African food and the African clothes and the Caribbean food. I want to do something that highlights our stuff with Freedmen food. Let's bring out the Freedmen food. Let's bring out our form of our hamburgers and cheeseburgers and catfish and fried fish and things of that nature. You know, some people ain't into fried fish, but y'all get what I mean. Like, let's bring out our stuff. Collard greens and black eyed peas and, you know, all of those things that are uniquely Freedmen. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. We gotta get that done. We gotta get that done. So again, hit me up for those that are listening, for those who will listen. Support the channel. We're getting off now, so I can't say use the super chat, but you can still show your support after the video is over. There's a new feature on YouTube called, let me see, what's the exact name of it? I guess it's not going to show now that I'm live. So let me go to just one of the videos. All right, it's called the thanks button. You're going to see a thanks button with a heart on it. You can contribute there. You can contribute on Cash App, $ be the power. You could go to our website, usadof.org, make donations there. We trying to build this thing, family. You know, my bros get on me all the time because I don't like to really push for donations and all of that, because we see what people do. It's a lot of people that are straight out here hustling people. They just hustling them. And it is what it is. And we don't do that. We're out here trying to build something. And those that can see it, they can see it, right? We just don't have a platform as large as a lot of other people. But I think we have the most powerful truth teaching platform on YouTube. But that's just my opinion and my bias. But I really, really feel that I go back and watch our stuff because we go in. We go in, and it's just as simple as that. So, and I like listening to anybody that's sharing information. I watch a bunch of channels that spread knowledge, etc. But I largely, when I find myself wanting to get grounded in information, I come right back to the Be the Power channel like a fan and absorb the information that I may have missed during the live stream. I go back and listen to every live stream we do because I be so engaged that sometimes I can't even hear everything my bros are saying when they're on. I got to go back and catch it and try to absorb it and then disseminate it when we speak on that subject again. So, you know, just support the channel. Honors a 7 Mingo Sachem. Otis said the RBG Pan African BS is a form of assimilation. The original BIPOC POC. Damn, that's powerful, and that's a fact. I agree with that assessment. I'll say that. Sister Ross says people do fish fries and crab feasts in the DMV. I'm with that. I broke my vegan diet in October. I'm pescatarian, man. That's been working out for me too. That's been working out for me. Peace, Sister Shannon. I see you in the building.
Told you.
All right, that's the exhibit, Sister Riri. Josh just put the link in the chat, so you can check that out. So we're gonna close this thing out, family. You already know. I'll leave you all with the motto of the platform, which is don't just fight the power, become the power, and then and only then will you have the power to make a change. With that, I say peace.